Biker jacket designs are super cool and really interesting once you start to understand the symbolism behind certain illustrations and colors and shapes and things like that. So in this video, we're teaching you how to make and craft your own biker jacket design with a skull theme, and everything you need from illustrations, elements, banners, to fonts and textures in that vintage style is in Kittl, ready for you to use. And if you don't have Kittl, I'd love for you to go ahead and sign up and try it for free using the link down in the description, and then you can follow along with this tutorial. Alright, so we do already have some skull type designs. If I go over here and click t-shirts here on the main homepage in Kittl, and then I can go here and click on skulls in the tags here, and as I scroll down you see a lot of templates that you can already use. This is a great starting point if you want to get some sort of kind of biker style design, like a patch design or something like that. We already have a lot of really great templates with banners and skulls and weapons and all kinds of things. But what we're going to do is click new project and make our own. So we're going to keep it with the square artboard because everything's pretty equal in size. We don't need to go any bigger than this. A square is fine for this. Then I'm going to type in helmet and show you a couple of examples here. We already have skulls that are in helmets that are going to work really well for this kind of motorcycle biker gang designs that we're making. For example, if I click in this one, you can see this one's pretty epic. It has a broken jaw here. It already has a biker helmet on, kind of that vintagey biker helmet. But if I click in one of these other ones here, I think one of these might work a little bit better because it doesn't have a jaw piece there. And I think I'm going to replace it with like piston rods or a motor or an engine or something like that, just to give it a little bit more interest, a little bit more depth. So if I go over here in the search bar, I can type in piston. You can also type in motor or anything else. We have a couple of different options here. Now, just a point on detail, you see this one is pretty detailed. It's similar, but it might be a little bit too detailed. The etching, the hatching is a little bit too intense here. If I just move it down here, you can see that it's kind of the same, but the lines are a little bit too small. Now, if I click in this other one, you can see that this works a lot better. There's still detail, but it matches the helmet and the skull here with the amount of shading and other things like that. So keep that in mind when you're working with different skulls or different pieces, illustrations. You can always search our elements panel to find ones that are very similar. Now you can copy and paste with Command or Control C and V, and then what I did is right click and flipped it, just make sure it's the other way around, and then what I can do is align them together and put them in a place that I think fits here below this skull. Now what we can do is go up here and we're going to type in wings. Now just a note about kind of symbolism in biker jackets and things like that. Just be careful, look up what's okay to use. A lot of things are commonly reserved for specific levels and things like that inside biker gangs. We're also not using MC because we're not making a motor club logo. Wings are fine, skulls are fine. Generally things like this are fine if you're just using it for fashion or putting it on a jacket, or maybe if you're going to use it on the front left pocket or something like that. Just be careful with your symbolism, what you're using. Make sure you're I guess allowed to use it, so to speak. Here we're using common things that are pretty okay to use. So I've got some spades here with the wings, with the skull, and some motor pieces here below. Now what we're going to do is look for a banner to start framing our text. And there's a bunch of different options you could go with, but I'm going to go with obviously kind of arced banners that would go well on the bottom as well as on the top. I'm going to use this simple one here because we're going to pick a font that's pretty epic, I would say. It's more in line, kind of vintagey, rugged with the skull vibe. So now once I have the banner centered, I can right click and send it to the back because I don't want it to be in front of our artwork there. And then I'm going to pick this other banner up here that is the top arc, so this will frame the top of our skull design here, and then I can make sure that all of the sizing is correct and do the same deal. I'm just going to make sure that it's framed nicely here on top. Right click, send to back. And then what we're going to do is just work with our colors a little bit. I want to make sure that they're the same colors as the rest of the design that we're working with. And then I can give this element a border weight. You can give any element a border weight, by the way, if you want to. Then I'm going to go over here to the search panel. I'm going to type in rays because I think some rays coming from the background would make this kind of pop even more. So I'm going to pick one of these rays here, size it up, change the color to that red, and then what I can do is right click, send it to the back, and now you can see there are some rays. They're a little bit too faint, so what we can do is add some border weight to make sure that they pop a little bit more. So I'm going to make sure everything is centered and aligned here, add that border weight, and you can see they start coming through a little bit better, a little bit thicker. Again, you can play with that. You can add outline to any element and font, any text that you have in Kittl you can add. Border weight. Now with flames, I'm going to pick a flame to put on the left and right of this bottom banner, because you see that the top banner here has these kind of like flourished in here, but I need to put some flames here that complement the top here. So let's find one that's going to work for this. I think maybe one of these, not extremely detailed, just a couple colors in it that's more flourished in the same way will work. I think this one is nice. There's 3 colors here, easy to change. I can flip it around, and then I can turn it with this little turn tool here at the bottom. Same deal, right click, and then I can send this right to the back, and this looks like it's coming out of the side of this banner right here. You can just tweak it a little bit, make sure that it works the way that you want it. With turning it around or flipping it, you can right click and flip upward and downward. And then once we have that in a good place, again, we can change our colors to make sure that they're in the same color palette as the one that we're using here, because we don't want to use different colors, because that would be a little bit weird. Also, it might be a little bit too expensive if you start printing with a ton of different colors. Hey, real quick, if you're getting value out of this skull themed biker jacket tutorial, let me know by hitting the thumbs up button and hitting that red subscribe button. Just takes a second. Then let me know down in the comments, is this your style? Do you like the biker jacket style? Are you in a like biker club or a motorcycle club or something like that? I'd love to know, and love to know what you're going to use this design for. You know, of course, maybe it's for a jacket or a patch or something. So go ahead and comment down below, and let's get back to the tutorial. So now we're going to get started with our text. You can go over and add text, or you can hit the T button to add text as well. And then over here in the other category, we just have so many different fonts. I think black letter fonts would be good for this one. Kind of more rugged vintage Western style fonts would also be good, but you can look through all of these. I'm going to use this one right here called Sand Creek, because I think it really works well with this skull, this kind of vintage biker design here. And then what I'm going to do is type in Sons of Kittl, which is, you know, a Sons of Anarchy reference, I suppose. And then I don't really want it all upper and lowercase like that, so what I'm going to do is, after I put it on this circle transformation here, line everything up the way that I want it, I'm going to change it to all uppercase over there in the right text settings panel, and then I need to make sure that it's aligned. And then you can use your anchor points here on the circle transformation to make sure that it's arced correctly here. Now I can add border weight and give it the same dark black background to make sure that it makes sense, but I'm going to show you a little trick. So if I add shadow and turn the offset off, you can zoom in with the plus key. Now I can change that color to the same kind of dark bluish black that I'm using, and if I add outline width, I can retain the inside of the letters. I don't have to cut into that red. I can just add an outer, basically a border weight to this. So that's a neat little trick if you're not trying to cut into the inside of your letter colors. You're not just adding a stroke, you're actually adding a whole basically offset path for you Illustrator fans. So now what I'm going to do is just duplicate this. I'm going to add some filler text. I can invert the direction so that it leaves less work for me. I'm going to type in Berlin. That's where this will be based, for example. And then what I'm going to just do here is tweak, because I don't want the piston rods to be covering up so much of the text, so I'm just tweaking a little bit to get this exactly how I want it. And now what we're going to do is also just duplicate and add a couple of different filler text pieces. So we have ESTD over here on the left and 2021 over here on the right. This is basically whenever this was created, that's when we're deciding it was. Now I'm going to add some crosses to fill this space, because I think there is a little bit too much space in the bottom banner there. And then to make this pop even more, I think we need to add some weathered grunge. So over here in the texture, what we need to do is pick Alpha Mask, and what Alpha Mask will do is basically cut through. Once we hit clip content, it's basically erasing this texture from the design. So it's a really, really nice, cool way to add texture. Now you can flip through a couple of different of these and see which one works best for you. But here is our finished biker patch biker jacket design, completely made in Kittl. I hope you have a ton of fun with this tutorial. Now, if you want to see other tutorials using Kittl, I have these videos here on my right that I know you're going to enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming videos and features and things like that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.